Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Last night in the series opener, the Reds flexed their muscles to get on the board early. Home runs from Votto and Frazier, but it was small ball that made the difference in coming from behind to win. A sac fly by Brandon Phillips would tie the game, and then critical two-out singles in the same inning by both Billy Hamilton and Zach Cozart. DeSclafani outstanding on the mound, and the Reds have now won 2 of their last 3 as they try and make it back-to-back wins today over the Washington Nationals. It's a bright, sunny, beautiful late Saturday afternoon in Cincinnati, and we're about set for baseball, the Nationals and the Reds. Hi again, everybody, alongside the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman, delighted to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon, and we get a look today again at the rookie. Back-to-back days. We'll see a third tomorrow. Today it's Raisel Iglesias' turn.
You know, some folks look at this as a downtrend, having young pitchers pitch. But when you watch Raisel Iglesias, this guy can be absolutely electric. I can't help but use that word because watching his stuff, you think, man, what a future this kid holds. Now, is it a learning process? Yes, it is. Last start out against Cleveland, he had some great pitches, but he had some pitches that really extended him late in the ball game. He wasn't able to get through 5 innings. That's a tough spot. Gio Gonzalez, on the other hand, he's had some up times, he's had some down times, but his time against the Reds has been awfully good. And when you watch Gio Gonzalez today, it'll be key for him getting ahead in the count, especially with a fastball, because that breaking ball is absolutely devastating.
Well, the Reds are due to get it because, as Cowboy mentioned, he has been lights out in his career against the Cincinnati Reds. Well, will there be some carryover from near fireworks here last night? Of course, you know what happened with Bryce Harper and Tony Cingrani. Jim Day has that when we return. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time.
For our Reds game today, we're starting at 4:10, so with that, we are going to be watching for some scattered showers and thunderstorms. I expect at some point during the game we'll probably have one move through at least. Otherwise, though, warm and muggy, 84 degrees there for first pitch, and as we work our way later into the game, that temperature's just down into the low 80s. So hopefully the rain doesn't bother anybody out there on the field. Let's get another win. Come on, Reds.
I'm Jim Day on the field. Late news this afternoon. Bryce Harper was scratched from the Washington Nationals lineup. His manager, Matt Williams, said he's dealing with a sore spine. He tried to get loose, could not get loose. They took him out of the lineup. Indeed, you got to think that that sore spine came from last night when he got plunked by a Tony Cingrani pitch right between the number. Yeah, right there. And if you saw the game last night, instead of just going down to first base like most people do, he took his sweet old time through some equipment. Joey Votto stepped in, seemingly sticking up for his pitcher, Cingrani. Cooler heads did prevail, but it certainly fired up the crowd, and it certainly fired up the Reds team as well. After the game, Tony Cingrani had this to say. Quote, I threw it as hard as I could, and it ran up and in and hit him. He should have jogged, but what are you going to do? Be a baseball player. Sorry, I hit you. Run. Very choice words from Cingrani. Even though Harper's not in the lineup, will there be some carryover coming from the Nationals? We are just going to have to wait and see, and we'll find out together. Needless to say, though, the Reds would like another W and start a streak. They've won 2 of their last 3, hoping to make it 3 of 4. Tom Brenneman, the Cowboy, are next.
Stays in a kind mood throughout the rest of this one today. Matt Williams and his Washington Nationals at 28 up and 20 down. Leaders in the National League's Eastern Division over the New York Mets. And his starting lineup today reads as follows. Denard Span in center. Desmond a shortstop. Escobar at third. Zimmerman into the 4-hole without Bryce Harper, bothered by a sore spine. Clint Robinson the nod in right field for Harper. Jose Lobaton is behind the plate. Espinosa at second. Michael Taylor will start in left field again. And Gio Gonzalez, a left-hander, 4-2 on the year on the mound. Marcell Iglesias pitches in his 6th major league game. It is his 4th as a starter, and really had his first poor start his last time out against Cleveland.
Well, Tom, I think they're going to be growing pains, whether it be Raisel Iglesias, Anthony DeSclafani, or Michael Lorenzen. There are going to be up and down times. The toughest part about pitching in the big leagues is learning to pitch when you don't have your best stuff. Now, obviously, in the last start for Raisel Iglesias, he just didn't feel like he did the start before when he got his first major league win. Now, today, hopefully, he'll be on his game. But traditionally, for a starting pitcher, you've got to learn to pitch even on the days when you don't have the A game.
All right, so here we go. Reds come in 20 wins against 27 losses. Won the opener of this series last night 5-2. Steven Strasburg, by the way, left after a little more than an inning last night. Officially placed on the disabled list before the game today. Ball one, a fastball to Denard Span. This one underway. Span is off to an excellent start this year. .323 batter, 5 home runs and 15 runs batted in. In there a strike, says Andy Fletcher. He is our home plate umpire today, with Paul Lemel at first base, Jordan Baker the umpire at second, and Jerry Meals is down at third. Meals is the crew chief. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Span. A big reason why the Nationals have taken off. They have a lot of guys in their lineup that are hitting well, but you know, you go back to the second week of this month, and over the last 2+ weeks, Span has really been setting the table, hitting almost .370 during that time frame, including a whopping 3 home runs. And there's a fly ball into right field. This will stay in the yard. Bruce has it, 1 away. The Reds on defense, presented by Ford. The exact same group we saw last night, with the exception. Let's get an update from Jim Day, as he is always on top of every story in the Reds clubhouse, but especially with his main man, Brandon Phillips, back in there today. Jimbo. Check in with Jim Day after this pitch to Ian Desmond. A 2-hopper to Zach Cozart, and quickly 2 away. I know you had a chance to catch up with Brandon, Jim, before the game today. What's the latest?
Well, the latest is that day off yesterday really did him well, and he went up to the plate last night just seeking to hit a fly ball, which he did successfully on a sacrifice fly. Did not hurt his toe in the process, but as you guys talked about last night, I think, Cowboy, you had mentioned it, just you think you're feeling okay with the turf toe, and all of a sudden just one movement and it is right back to square one. So we will see how it shakes out. It's one of those injuries that you just never know. He might have to deal with it the rest of the season.
All right, Jim, thank you. Here's Yunel Escobar, and a breaking ball is on the outside corner, a strike. Escobar, like Iglesias, born and raised in Cuba before defecting and eventually landing in the major leagues here in the United States. And this guy is hitting the ball hard. Did so last night, and a double his first time up today.
Let's go back to Brandon Phillips for a moment, Tom. Turf toe is basically a sprain in the big toe. Now, you talk about an elbow or a shoulder or maybe a knee. A sprain takes you out for a month or 2. But with a toe, you seem to think you can take a little pressure off of it, maybe wrap it a little bit, get some treatment, and now Brandon Phillips is right back out there. It is something that he's going to have to play with for the entirety of the 2015 season.
Iglesias now turns his attention to the former third baseman, an all-star at that position, now the first baseman for the Nationals, Ryan Zimmerman. 5 home runs, a team best 30, or second best 32 runs batted in, second to Bryce Harper. He has the most RBIs of any National in their starting lineup today, minus Harper. We brought it up last night. The Nationals are playing without 2 of their regulars, and they are a big part of this team. Jason Worth, an outfielder, and unbelievably talented young third baseman in Anthony Rendon. Worth's going to be out quite a while. Just diagnosed a couple of small fractures in his wrist during the off day on Thursday. That one fouled out of play, and Iglesias ahead of Zimmerman at 1-2. Rendon is currently on a rehab assignment, and they'd like to believe if everything goes well for him after straining an oblique muscle in his side, that they could have him back within the next week to 10 days, if not sooner than that.
That's a lot of punch out of your lineup in a given day. No Harper, no Worth, no Rendon. You hope that the Reds can take advantage of that.
Yeah, the next time the Reds play the Nationals, they will be finished with a season series before the All-Star break. The final road trip leading up to the All-Star game will be 3 games in D.C. followed by 4 games in Miami against the Marlins. Rendon should be back for that 3-game series. Runner takes off, and a liner into center field, a base hit. Well, I tell you what, Zimmerman's batting average might be in the 220s, but you put guys on the bases and he will make you pay. 1-0 Nationals.
That is now an 11-game hitting streak for Ryan Zimmerman. He gets tremendous plate coverage, even with that big leg kick. The ball that's out over the plate, if it's up anywhere at all and on the plate, he's going to make contact, and he does there.
So now the batter, the right fielder Clint Robinson. Breaking ball off the inside corner. Robinson, a guy who just knocked the cover off the ball year after year in the minor leagues. This year is the first time he's ever been on an opening day roster. He was a non-roster invitee to spring training. He has hit 141 home runs in the minor leagues. And boy, did he smoke that ball right at Marlon Byrd to end the inning. Nationals jump in front. 1-0. The Reds are coming up. Price's starting lineup today, presented by Meyer, looks like this. Brandon Phillips will lead off at second base, back in the lineup today. He's not played since Monday. Started anyway. Votto at first, Frazier down at third, Bruce, Pena, and Bird in the middle. A latter third of Zach Cozart, Raisel Iglesias, and Billy Hamilton again will bat ninth and play center field. On the mound for the Nats, certainly not numbers you're accustomed to seeing from a very, very good left-hander, among the best in baseball for about the past 6 years, is Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, you look at his numbers, Tom, and I imagine they're probably frustrating for Matt Williams and the Washington Nationals, because he's had some starts where he has been totally dominant, and then he's had others where he's given up 5, 6 runs, and not just one start. I'm talking 3 or 4 starts. Now, his last start against Philly, he threw the ball very well. The 2 previous starts, he didn't get through the 5th inning.
Gonzalez grew up just down outside of Miami. But here's a pitch to Brandon. It's in there, a strike. He was originally drafted in the 1st round, the compensation round, so the 38th pick overall by the White Sox. He has been involved in some huge trades in baseball during his career. 1 year later, he came over to Philadelphia in the Jim Thome trade. That one lined into right, and they had him defended perfectly out there in right field. 1 away. That was a hard hit ball by Brandon Phillips.
Normally that's a double into the corner, but you're right, Tom. Robinson playing awfully close to the line. You hit a ball like this coming out of the batter's box, I guarantee you Brandon Phillips is thinking 2, maybe 3. But Robinson right there.
After Gonzalez was traded to Philadelphia in that Jim Thome deal, it was 1 year later again. He was traded for Freddie Garcia back to the White Sox. They then turned around, traded him to Oakland in the Nick Swisher deal. So, I mean, you're talking about some pretty big names. And then once finally landing in Oakland in 2008, he had a chance to go into the rotation that year. A little while in 2009, but starting in 2010, he has put together a very, very good run as a starting pitcher. 15 wins, 16 wins with Oakland. Went to Washington, won 21 games in 2012, 11 the following year, 10-10 with a stint on the DL last year. Boy, that's a borderline strike there on a 3-0 pitch to Joey Votto. Gonzalez doesn't need that kind of help. Hooked into right field, diving play by Espinosa, then can't find the handle. If they make that play after the way they defended you on the Phillips line drive, you're thinking we're in for a long day.
Well, you can see Espinosa playing rover out in short right field. And you're right, Tom. If he comes up with that ball in the glove instead of it bobbling out, he gets Votto, and then you were shaking your head in the dugout.
A couple of hard hit balls to begin this game against Gio Gonzalez. One by Phillips for now, the other is single by Votto. And now Frazier lifts one down the right field line towards the corner. Foul and out of play. Todd hit home run number 15 on the season here last night. He has 29 runs batted in, and he takes off the outside corner.
You look at Gonzalez's numbers against the Reds career-wise, and granted, these two teams don't play a whole lot of ball games. He's never given up more than 2 earned runs in a start, and more times than not, it's been 1 run. When you see a pitcher like Gonzalez struggling a little bit with location here early, you can see him raising his left hand above his shoulder, trying to find that release point. This is when you want to get on him. And then you make him question in his own mind, do I have it today or do I not?
Into center field, a base hit. That's 3 straight hit right on the screws to begin this game by the Reds. They have 2 on with 1 out, down a run, and Jay Bruce coming up. Take a look at the Washington Nationals on defense. With no Bryce Harper, they move Robinson into right. Taylor again starts in left with Span in center. Same infield we saw last night, and Lobaton behind the plate, replacing their regular Wilson Ramos. Jay Bruce, a .222 batter, 7 home runs, 20 runs batted in. Votto the runner at second. Todd Frazier on at first. And that went off the inside corner. Jay 0 for 3, drew a walk in the game last night.
Well, you can see a little bit of a stare back in by Gonzalez there after that pitch. That's really what you want if you're the Reds. You want him to start to think a little bit, not only against you, but against the man that's standing behind the plate in Andy Fletcher, the umpire.
You know, in every one of those years we mentioned earlier, since Gonzalez really started to get it rolling, going back to the 2010 year in Oakland, I mean, his earned run average is ranked anywhere from 2.8, a high of 3.5. I mean, he has really been stingy in terms of allowing runs per 9 innings.
And durable, too. I mean, he's right at that 200 inning mark, striking out almost a batter an inning, very few hits.
Yeah, last year was the first time he had ever been placed on the disabled list, and that was for a month. Breaking ball and a dandy.
Ooh. This is the reason you want to hit the fastball before you get to this baby.
Gonzalez a long look into Lobaton. 2 on, 1 out, 1-2 delivery. And there's a breaking ball. Did he go? No, on the appeal down to Jerry Means. 2-2 on Jay Bruce. The Reds knocking on the door here in the bottom of the first inning. After a 2-out run scoring rally in the top of the first by the Nationals. Fastball away to run the count 4.
Well, he's having a little issue with that fastball release point right now. That breaking ball is awfully sharp. But you've got to start with the fastball.
Well, you don't figure the Reds to start the runners here. They don't. And that breaking ball missed off the inside corner, and Gonzalez appears to be very upset either with himself or with the home plate umpire. He is staring into the Nationals dugout.
No, I think he's upset with the umpire. Looks like Steve McCatty's going to go out and try to calm down that veteran left-hander.
Saw Matt Williams yelling out to the home plate umpire Andy Fletcher, asking, where did that pitch miss?
You can see by the hand movement of Matt asking if the ball was high. If that ball stayed inside, it didn't come back to the plate.
So Steve McCatty, the pitching coach under the Nationals' second-year manager, one-time standout as a player was the Washington skipper Matt Williams. McCatty will say something to the umpire as he walks back. And apparently a little bit more than just a little something. That's still going. Somebody's close to getting run if this continues.
Well, you can understand the frustration from the Nationals. I think they expected to come in here and boat race the Reds the way they were playing, and the Reds have taken it to them.
Well, now you need a base hit. They're loaded. With 1 out in the inning, Brian Pena settles in. Off the outside corner, first pitch changeup by Gonzalez. Fastball, and he's tardy at 92 miles per hour. That'll even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Now that may have been the best pitch that Gonzalez has delivered yet. Those other pitches to the rest of the batters, those are not strikes. You can argue all day long 10 years ago, maybe they were striking. That's not now.
1-1 to Pena. The Reds have him loaded in the first inning. 1 out. That one bounces up there. As again, he came with a fastball on location way off. 2 balls and a strike on Brian Pena. All of it started with 1 out. Votto a single into right field. Frazier a single into center field. Bruce draws a walk to load him up. Reds are down 1-0, but hoping to change that right here and right now is Brian Pena. Started to pull the trigger. Did he go around? Yes, says Paul Emmel. That's a big pitch right there, boy.
Well, you see where this ball is. It's down underneath the strike zone. And Pena just a little over aggressive on a guy that you didn't need to help out.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Brian. Bases loaded. And a liner, double play ends the inning. End of 1. Washington leads 1-0. Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins from around the league. Of course, Pete Rose, a big part of the program from time to time now. Weeknights, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Reds miss a big chance. With the bases loaded and 1 out, they come up empty in the first inning. So here come the Nationals in the second, leading 1-0. Lobaton, Espinosa, and Taylor. 6, 7, 8 in the Nationals batting order against Raisel Iglesias. Lobaton, a guy's been around for a long time as a professional. His first season signing with the Padres was 2002. He has only played a grand total of not even 2 full seasons in the major leagues, and the overwhelming majority of those, 166 of the 257 games he's played in the major leagues, have come in the last 2 years. He spent the better part of 12 years as a minor leaguer, a rare switch hitting catcher. Some may remember it was Lobatone almost 3 years ago now. He got married at home plate at Tropicana Field. How about that?
Solid.
He's gone swinging to begin the second inning. Did you ever consider marrying Ashley at home plate of the stadium, maybe in Mississippi State University? Did it ever cross your mind?
Not even for a second.
Did it cross her mind?
Where I live at, we get married in churches. There's a preacher up there. You walk down the aisle, you do the thing.
Amen.
Rose petals, dearly beloved.
But what do you think her reaction would have been?
I don't think
had
it would have
you
been
suggested
good. Not even thinking about it.
But you know, when we asked the minister to come to the home plate area, right?
Right.
And right there at your alma mater, would she have gone for that?
I would hope not. And more importantly, my mama would not have gone for it.
But what about her mama?
There ain't no way. You can book that. Church, or forget about it.
No shotguns necessary, right? Breaking ball swung on and foul out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to Espinosa. Espinosa 0 for 3 in the game last night. He did draw a walk.
Now, how about that picture? That's the picture you were talking about last night.
Man, that's an unbelievable mustache. Well, I guess it's technically, is that rounded off down at the bottom? I can't tell.
Kind of like Mr. Red, except it doesn't flare up. That's a big stash.
It really is.
And now it's gone. It just shows you how superstitious baseball players can be. You grow the beard out as long as you're hitting. When you stop hitting, you shave it off.
Apparently, Charlie Blackmon has never stopped hitting.
Yeah, exactly.
We were talking with Phil Castellini the other day, and he was growing a really good-looking beard there for a while, and he was telling me, he said, you know, when the summertime all of a sudden showed up, he said, I've never had a beard before. That was all she.
It's a little warm.
Yeah. Two and two on Espinosa. Looked like Iglesias may have lost his footing as he delivered that pitch, but it was a strike which is fouled out of play. Weissel retired the first 2 batters in quick fashion to begin the game, and Escobar doubled down the left field line. And on a 2-strike pitch, Zimmerman knocked him in with a single. Oh boy, where did that miss? Of course, I'm sure the Nationals will say, well, take that.
Backdoor breaking ball, and evidently it just didn't quite get back to the plate. Boy, that's a close one. How do you take that? Just because you can't hit it.
3-2 delivery. Comes with a fastball. It's dribbled to the right side. Votto, the feed to Iglesias, 2 away. We invite you to follow the Reds all season long with MLB.com at bat. In-game highlights, live look-ins, radio broadcast, statcast, and much more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet today. 2 down, none on, and here is Michael Taylor, the Washington left fielder. Taylor has put together some very, very impressive years in the minor leagues. A 6th-round draft choice in 2009. Another Floridian, and he still actively pursuing his college degree from Troy University down in Alabama. You ever been to Troy University, Cowboy?
Many times. Many times.
Tell you what, for a smaller school, play some pretty good football down there too. They have put a lot of players in the National Football League.
Yes, they do. Iglesias not missing by much. You saw the earlier breaking ball and that fastball there. It's just inches off the corner.
That'll take care of business on that breaking ball. A perfect second for Iglesias. Reds are down a run. Earler from Dry Ridge, Kentucky will win that Tundra. And if you would like to have a chance to win it, just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Reds down 1-0 on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in Cincinnati. We have a lot of high clouds, a lot of blue skies as well. Look like a bunch of kayakers, or those can't tell from here if those are jet skis along the river beyond the right field wall out there. There might be jet skis out there. Now, boy, those are fun.
I don't see any water shooting around.
No, they have them off right now. They're just kind of floating around. Man, that looks fun.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, that is just tons of fun, no doubt about it. Oh, and 2 to Marlon Bird. Reds had him loaded with one out. If you're just joining us in the bottom of the first inning on singles by Votto and Frazier, a walk to Bruce, and Pena lined into an inning-ending double play right at the shortstop being Desmond. Gio Gonzalez was clearly not happy with some of the calls and balls and strikes by Andy Fletcher. Was able to wiggle off the hook. See if the Reds can change that here in the second go round.
I think the key right now for the Reds against Gonzalez is just to keep the pressure on him. You could really see him questioning not only himself but the home plate umpire. You get runners aboard, that pressure starts to mount a little bit. Get that pitcher thinking out there.
Well, it won't begin with Bird here in the second inning. He struck out one away.
Change up. And when you're looking fastball and you get that one, chances are not real good that you're going to hit it.
Last night was quite a night for Zach Kozart. The Red shortstop flying out to center field his first time up. He was batting in the leadoff spot. Had 3 consecutive singles, including a 2-out single to knock in a run in that 3-run 6 when the Reds took the lead for good. Wound up tonight 3 out of 5. Fly ball into right. That'll be easy for Robinson, and Gonzalez makes quick work of Bird and Kozart. And here comes a pitcher batting in the 8-hole, Iglesias. Weissel 0 for 4 as a batter.
Iglesias has him a nice little new pad on that left elbow. I've seen left-handers hitting right-handed with the pad on there, but I don't know that I've seen a right-hander with a pad on his left arm.
Nope.
And pitchers I'm talking about, not regular hitters. I'm just talking about the pitcher. Maybe he's planning on diving out there and getting some.
Get aboard.
He was going after that one.
No, we've only seen him, a handful of at-bats, not even that officially. But he does not appear to be afraid up there as a batter. Closed stance, right on top of the plate. He's gone swinging on the breaking ball. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Gonzalez. We go to the third. Nationals in front 1-0.
takes the mound again. It's been pretty good so far for Raisel Iglesias. And you look at some of the pitches from Iglesias, just because you miss with a pitch out of the strike zone doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad pitch. You see the backdoor breaking ball to Espinosa. Espinosa thinks, boy, that was close, I better swing, and he gets jammed on a fastball inside. The very next batter, Michael Taylor. Oh, I better swing at the next pitch that's down and away. And he gets a slider and he strikes him out. So even when you don't get the call you expect on the mound, you pitch off of the previous pitch.
Gonzalez leading off the inning, a left-handed pitcher and a right-handed batting. 0 for 12 at the plate so far this year. Breaking ball swung on and missed. Iglesias has retired 4 in a row since the double and run scoring single with 2 outs in the Nationals' first inning. On swinging, his 3rd strikeout of the last 4 to come to the plate.
You see the different pitches for Raisel Iglesias, and you can really say there are 6 different pitches, because he'll throw all 3 of those over the top, and he'll also drop down and throw all 3 as well.
Denard Span led off the game with a fly ball to Jay Bruce in right. 1 ball and 1 strike to the Washington center fielder and leadoff batter.
Tom, you mentioned this earlier, how good Denard Span has been as of late. But you look at Span, Desmond, Escobar, and Zimmerman in this lineup today with no Bryce Harper. These are the 4 guys you cannot make a mistake to. You have got to be on your game with all 4 of these guys. If you're going to miss, you miss to those guys in the bottom of the lineup.
Iglesias rocks, kicks, and delivers. And it's off the inside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, I just can't help but every single time you see Iglesias pitch, and we brought it up a number of weeks ago, in fact the very first time we ever saw him pitch, how much his body, his face, his frame, though not as thick yet, he's still a very young man, the way he wears his uniform with the pants all the way up by the knee and the socks. Boy, I mean, he is almost a spitting image of Orlando El Duque Hernandez. Those were the first words. I'm trying to remember the team. It was Freddie Gonzalez, the manager of the Atlanta Braves, echoed those same sentiments after watching Iglesias pitch 8 innings of 2-hit 1-run baseball to beat his Atlanta Braves a couple of weeks ago. El Duque, a Cuban defector as well. There's a slow roller at Phillips, 2 around the inning.
Well, I think all of us, Tom, as you're growing up, and Iglesias is growing up watching El Duque pitch in the big leagues, you try to mimic those that have had success before you. I know for me, there were a lot of friends that I had that were pitchers trying to mimic Nolan Ryan. You know, that same kind of wind up, that same over the top leg drive delivery. Now, we tried Tom Seaver, but we couldn't quite get down that low. He was one of a kind.
And Seaver got so low that many of you out there don't remember Tom Seaver. I mean, it's starting to be a while now. Obviously, there are a lot of you that do. But you would look at his right knee, and there would be a dirty patch on that right knee because his stride was so far with his left foot as a right-handed pitcher that his right knee would drag along the bullpen mound, or the mound dirt.
He was the epitome of the drop and drive era.
Well, what a pitcher he was. And man, for those not old enough to remember, after the Reds had won the World Series in 1975 and again in 1976, the entire baseball world was in a state of shock when the Reds traded for Tom Seaver before the 77 season. They would not win another World Series with him.
I think this is one of the best ones I've seen of myself. You know, the other ones I don't think they look like me, but this one right here is pretty good. I'm actually running and standing up besides sliding, so it's a little different. So I think I like this one out of all of them I've had. I think this is one of the best ones.
And that is Billy Hamilton giving a self-scouting report on his bobblehead today. He indeed likes it, outside of maybe the big smile he had on his face. He says he doesn't run the bases with a smile unless he's hitting a home run, but there you see the look at it right there. Pretty good looking bobblehead, and a pretty big crowd that turned out today. Got to be exciting to have a bobblehead. I know Tom Brenneman knows that feeling. Double bobblehead with you and your dad, I believe, wasn't it?
That was a while ago, but yes, James, we did, and it was very flattering. I tell you, I don't know about Billy Hamilton, but if I ran as fast as Billy Hamilton, I think I would smile when I was running. That would be really fun to run that fast.
Yeah, but I think what he means by that is there is a little bit of, I guess, intensity going on as he takes off around the bases. He means business when those wheels get cranked up.
Let's see if he can get a void. Reds trailing 1-0 as they bat in the third inning. And it's 3-2 now on Billy Hamilton.
I mean, how many guys actually, when they are in their ultimate concentration position, do they smile? Whether you're a baseball player or a businessman or whatever, when you're really locked in, are you really smiling?
Well, we're about to find out if Billy can smile a little bit while he's running.
Well, he better watch that pickoff move of Gio Gonzalez, because he's going to bring it over there, and he's got a good one.
This is obviously not the ideal situation when you're thinking about base stealing because of Gonzalez. Been around a long time, has an excellent move. He knows the drill.
You also have a huge hole on the right side of the infield with Hamilton leading off the bag at first. And Brandon Phillips can hit that ball that way anytime.
Boy, Brandon hit the ball so hard. Look where Robinson's playing again.
Shading that right field line.
Sure is. And he made the running catch a lot closer to the line than where he's standing right now in that first inning. Hamilton, 19 stolen bases, has been thrown out 3 times. So Reds as a club lead the major leagues in stolen bases. 46 of them in 57 attempts. Strike 2.
Not sure Phillips liked that pitch there.
Would-be base stealers are 0 for 2 with Gonzalez on the mound so far this year. They went 8 out of 14, which is not a good percentage last year.
A little different move that time from Gonzalez. He'll show you a series of 3 moves. First move over there was just nothing more than just lob the ball to first. That time a little bit quicker, but he has a better one than that in his holster.
Nothing and 2 to count on Brandon Phillips. And Billy takes off. Throw down there is offline, and Hamilton is able to beat it. He just took off on first move, forcing Zimmerman to clear himself and make a perfect throw. And Zimmerman does not throw the ball well.
You decide to go on first move, which is exactly what Hamilton does there. The whole reason that Zimmerman is at first base is because of the shoulder surgeries and the issues he's had with throwing across the diamond. And with the speed of Hamilton, he just tried to rush it a little bit.
20th on the season for Billy Hamilton. Nothing and 2 now on Brandon. The fastball is high. Reds are down 1-0. But a pretty good start to this 3rd inning. A single by Billy, a stolen base, and you've got the big fellas coming up. When they are paying so much attention to Hamilton at second base, where Espinosa's basically 2 steps away from the bag, which opens up that entire right side of the infield for Phillips. And really just based on history with Brandon Phillips, when he gets to 2 strikes in and at bat, especially in an RBI situation, he seems to hit the ball in that direction more times than not. We'll see if it plays out this way this time. They ran it in on him. He tried that inside out swing, but it's fouled away.
Now Brandon is definitely trying to hit the ball that way, not necessarily just because it's open on that side, but there are no outs. You hit the ball to the right side here, Hamilton can crawl to third base.
Pretty good battle within the WAR right here. Gonzalez knows what Phillips is trying to do. Now the 1-2 pitch. Phillips is going to advance a runner anyway. I mean, that's what speed will do for Billy Hamilton.
Most base runners are having to stay at second base on that ball. With the speed of Hamilton, as soon as contact is made, heck, even if Gonzalez catches that ball, he's going to have a tough time throwing out Hamilton at third.
So now a chance to tie it with a runner at third and 1 out for Joey Votto. He singled into right field his first time up. Joey clubbed his first home run in this month of May last night. In a line drive clearing the wall in deep left center field in the very first inning. Oh, there's a neat Buckley.
When you watch Votto and he stands at the plate, it almost appears as though he's looking off into space. I think it is a clearing of the mind, looking at a spot out in left center field that he knows he can drive the ball to. I think it's all part of the mental preparation before the pitch ever comes. We'll watch him look off just as he starts to set.
Well, what a catch made down there.
It was a one-hander.
Holy Moses. That guy reached right over that plexiglass wall and snared that baby with one hand. This big league play right here now. Hello there.
He didn't pin it on the wall either. That straight signed me up.
Well done. High fly ball, left center field, span at the wall. Goodbye.
Votto finishing May like he started in April. Hammer City. Almost the same spot that he hit the ball off of Strasburg last night as far as location. Down and in, and Votto put the barrel to the bat, to the ball.
So the Reds have a 2-1 lead on the long one from Joey Votto. That's number 9 on the year for the Reds first baseman. Joey was talking after the game last night how he got his swing. He found his swing again. And he likened it to recently losing his wallet. You know, Joey from Canada has a green card, a permit card to work here in the United States and live here, you know, during the baseball season, that kind of thing. And so that green card was in the wallet, naturally, and credit cards, cash, all that kind of thing. Was really upset about it. Ended up finding it in one of the little compartments in his car.
Yeah, nobody wants to have to redo credit cards. Oh.
And he said, I liken my swing to that wallet. I found the wallet, and I think I have found my swing.
Well, I would double that down and say yes, he has.
It's a 6th go-ahead home run this season for Votto. Only Frazier and Harper have more among all National Leaguers. Breaking ball stays up high. 2-2 to Frazier.
I would bet Gio Gonzalez has got to be thinking to himself right now, how in the heck did Votto hit that pitch in that part of the ballpark and hit it out? That wasn't a bad pitch. Lefty on lefty. Come on.
Frazier chasing the high gas there. Strikeout number 3 for Gonzalez. 2 out, and Jay Bruce coming up. Of course, you know, you do see it where these pitchers come in pitching in bigger ballparks. And they can't believe when some of the balls that are hit, and I mean, that ball was kissed by Votto, make no mistake about it. But also make no mistake about it that there are a lot of ballparks, including where the Nationals play, where that probably does not leave the yard. Now tipped into the mid of Lobaton, and that'll end the inning. But the single by Billy got it started. And Joey for a second straight day to left center. This one gives the Reds a 1-run lead. Game. You can vote up to 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. You can find that at Reds.com. And remember now, no more paper voting. Voting is all exclusively done now online, available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Again, that's at Reds.com. Just keep saying your prayers for good weather during that All-Star Game, because Cincinnati is ready to put on a show. Worldwide, they'll be watching the Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
Yeah, I saw the other night where they're going to put the impressions up on a couple of the buildings here downtown. That looks big league.
Tell you who else looks big league here in the first 2 days of this series is Yunel Escobar. I mean, everything coming off his bat is a rocket. He had 2 hits last night. He did strike out twice in the game. He's 2 for 2 so far here today. The only 2 Nationals that have reached base in this game, Escobar and the man who drove him in with a single in the first inning at the plate right now, and Ryan Zimmerman. Our producer Josh Hall, who is single, continues to remind me that it looks like there is some kind of bachelorette party going on. There's a ground ball to Frazier, and they'll turn it over. How about that? That was a hot smash, but Frazier played it perfectly to the backhand side.
Well, when you hit them like that, you're just in trouble. Zimmerman hit it hard. It won't matter here.
Swing and a miss by Clint Robinson. And 2 on Robinson, and off the end of the bat. Still hit it hard though, man. I tell you, Robinson has hit the ball hard twice today. Lined out to left, and that was single to center.
Pena wanted that pitch off the plate a little bit, and it just came back for him.
I've always wondered about guys like Robinson. And there are, I'm not going to say a lot of them, because there aren't a lot of guys that have, clubbed nearly 150 home runs in their minor league career. Young man from Dothan, Alabama. Originally a 25th round pick by Kansas City, went to Pittsburgh in a trade, and just in the the 2013 calendar year, was put on waivers, picked up by Toronto, signed by the Dodgers as a minor league free agent, the Nationals. You look at some of his years in the minor leagues: 15, 17, 13, 29, 23. Talking about home runs now. And yet a grand total of 13 major league at-bats. Now, you mean to tell me a guy that did the hitting, and we're not talking about some guy hitting 240 now. Every year in his minor league career, 336, 298, 335, 326, 292, 312 last year. Doesn't it make you wonder?
Big time.
Going swinging is Lobaton. 5 strikeouts in the game for Iglesias. He has a 2-1 lead after 3.5.
Visiting the T-Mobile All-Star Fan Fest. It's at the Duke Energy Center, July 10th through the 14th. Purchase your tickets now at allstargame.com. I'm Jim Day. Brian Pena set to lead off this half inning for Cincinnati, and he had a conversation with his former teammate Max Scherzer, who's in the opposite dugout today, and they were reliving the memories of back when they were battery mates. There you see Scherzer. They were yucking it up, and part of the conversation today was about that famous Rolex. In case you don't know the story, Max Scherzer said, if I ever win the Cy Young Award, I will get you a Rolex watch. Well, Pena said he forgot about it. He thought it was just a friendly conversation that he had. Well, lo and behold, in the offseason after he won it, he got a FedEx package, and there's the Rolex right there. But in the FedEx package, it was a giant box. And in it was a note from Max Scherzer that said, I'm sorry about the Rolex. I didn't come through on the Rolex, but I hope you enjoy this. So he piled through it. There was box after box, paper after paper. And finally, when he got to the middle of it, was indeed that Rolex watch. So Max Scherzer kept his word. Pena still has that Rolex. And Pena said he's one of the greatest teammates he ever had.
We started to talk last night. It's a great story, Jimbo. Thank you about, the Nationals that are getting a chance to see Scherzer pitch for the first time every day. Been in the American League for a long time after initially coming up through the Arizona Diamondbacks farm system. It's one thing to watch a guy on TV a couple of 3 times a year. It's another thing when you see him up close and personal every 5 days. You know, Scherzer is one of those guys that, you know, in a day and age, and understandably so, where, you know, a pitcher can't control whether or not he wins a game. Well, I'm not going to say that's entirely true. You can control it if you shut the other team out. Of course, then you can't guarantee you're going to score any runs. But, you know, he is a guy that when he takes a ball, man, I mean, infrequently is there even a no decision. We mentioned last night he is 6-3 this year in 9 starts. Went 21-3 during that Cy Young season. Last year, 18-5. Swinging a foul ball out of play. And he has just been lights out so far for the Nationals.
Well, I think when you watch Scherzer pitch, regardless of the score, if you only watch him, you would think it's a 0-0 ball game. I mean, he competes whether it's 8-1 or whether it's 1-0. There is no let up in his game.
You know, you look among all active pitchers, Scherzer has more strikeouts than Clayton Kershaw. He has more strikeouts per 9 innings than Tim Lincecum or Felix Hernandez. There's a ground ball back up through the middle into center field, a base hit. He has more wins than any pitcher, including Adam Wainwright and Clayton Kershaw, since 2012. His winning percentage is by far better than every pitcher in baseball over the last 3.5 years. Better than Greinke, better than Kershaw. And his WAR, which of course is wins above replacement, is 3rd best among all pitchers over the last 3 years, behind only Kershaw and Felix Hernandez.
Either way, that's in some pretty good company. You're talking about the reigning Cy Young Award winners when you talk about Hernandez and Kershaw.
And I tell you, for my money, and you and I have talked about this, Cowboy, despite all of those gaudy numbers, but over the longer haul, for my money, I don't know if you agree with this or not, for my money over the last 7 years, and you can read a bunch of stats for me and make a solid argument, I'm sure, but if I had to have one guy the last 5, 6, 7 years, for me, no contest, Adam Wainwright.
I would say the only drawback with Wainwright is the health issue.
Yes. Here's a double play, and that will end things in the Reds' 4th inning. We go to the 5th. Reds lead 2-1. By Meyer. by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Well, there's that bachelorette party we were talking about. I mean, they have, I don't know how many, couple dozen women hanging out in there. Congratulations. Apparently, she is the bride-to-be, Cowboy.
She's wearing the crown.
Yes, she is. It says bachelorette right across the top of that crown.
Pretty cool place for a bachelorette party.
Man, there's another group, a bachelorette party, that says Team Bride. Ball 1 to Danny Espinosa, leading things off here in the 5th inning. Espinosa, Taylor, and Gonzalez. Now this is an inning where Iglesias, you're trying to do it every inning, but you love to blitz through this one quickly. 7, 8, 9 in the batting order on a small number of pitches. We'll see if he's able to do that. He's only given up 4 hits and 1 run. The run came in the opening inning. 1-2 on Espinosa, who bounced out to Joey Votto, is only at bat today. Only one final around baseball. They got started early up in Minneapolis today. A 3-2 winner. The Red Hot Twins. They were cooled off for the first time in quite a while last night, but right back to their winning ways. Look at that little guy.
Yeah, the man over to the side of him is the one that caught the ball and gave it to him.
Now he was walking over by that way.
That's the man that caught the ball over the rail one-handed.
Well, good for him. Then he gave it to that little guy?
Yes, he did.
Well, that's nice. That girl's not happy about it.
She'll be all right.
She's saying, wait a minute now. I mean, look at that face. That's going to get her an ice cream cone.
Can I see the ball? No, it's mine.
Now look at that face.
Can I look at it? Can I hold it?
She is not happy. I mean, at that age, you're not happy for brother.
No.
She's saying to mom or dad there, grandma, grandpa, whatever, what's in it for me? Well, cotton candy?
I want a ball.
Espinosa with a single in the center field to begin the 5th.
Well, this is not a spot in the lineup where you want to allow a couple of base runners and have to roll back over to Denard Spain. As you mentioned when this inning started, you want to put these guys in the book in a hurry.
It's just really not a running team in any way, shape, or form. Even when they have everybody healthy, they're just not. I mean, the most stolen bases anybody in their lineup has today on the year is 3 by Span. There's not another player that has more than 1. One and one to Michael Taylor.
You know, there are certain guys in this Nationals order that Matt Williams will feel comfortable hitting and running, putting the runners in motion. A guy like Zimmerman, we saw it earlier. He would do the same with Denard Span, but you can't do it with guys that you don't have some semblance of history with, because you don't know if they're going to sacrifice themselves and make contact.
Oh, boy. Taylor knew it right away. Just right down the can on that drop down fastball at 93.
I've got to imagine you're going to get the bunt here.
Gonzalez has 5 of them.
Hit it.
Oh, boy, that's the last thing in the world Iglesias wanted to do.
Now we got trouble. Square to bunt. You try to run that breaking ball in there, and it just comes out of the side of your hand. You try to guide it, knowing that he's going to bunt, and it just spins out of control.
Well, you mentioned it a moment ago. We thought this might be a quick, easy inning. 7, 8, 9 in the batting order. That's not the case. A single, a strikeout, a hit batsman, and here's Span. Strike 1.
Back-to-back changeups there from Iglesias. He got the swing and miss on the first, but Span the better for it on the second.
Hooked foul, and now Iglesias ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
After that pitch, you see Brian Pena go out to the mound, making sure that he and Iglesias are on the same page here. It's a big pitch in this ball game.
Sinking liner. Hamilton will go, but not able to get there. And the throw comes into Cozart. Here's a throw to the plate, and not in time. Boy, oh boy, it's a 2-2 game. On the second goes Gio Gonzalez. And now trouble really brewing.
Got the fastball up and out over the plate. Pena wanted it down. Didn't quite get there. Marlon Byrd did a great job backing up the dive of Billy Hamilton. Hamilton couldn't get to the ball. If Bird's not there, they have no play at the plate. And you probably have runners at second and third rather than first and second.
Now Ian Desmond, a ground ball to short and a strikeout. 0 for 2. And it's ball 1 down low. In the air, left center field. Bird shades his eyes from the sun. Is called off by Hamilton for the second out of the inning, and 1 more out to go for Iglesias to keep it at a 2-2 game. Jeff Pico out for a visit. Ryan Matthews, a one-time Washington National, begins to get loose in the Reds bullpen. It's only 79 pitches in this game for Iglesias, and it's not like he's really pitched in a lot of trouble tonight. He had 2 outs, nobody on when they had back-to-back hits to score their first run in the first inning. Had perfect innings in the second and the third. Allowed a single, got a double play, then a single and an out in the fourth, and here in the fifth, he's had a tough go of it.
Well, I think that's a smart meeting there. You slow down the heart rate a little bit of Iglesias. You tell him, hey, you got 1 out to make, and this is the guy you want, not the guy on deck.
All right, Escobar has had 2 really good at-bats today. A double to left field scored in the first inning, and a line drive single to center field in the fourth. Oh, 2.
You watch Escobar when he gets in the box, Tom. This is why he is such a good breaking ball hitter. He is way up in the front of the box trying to catch the breaking ball before the ball ever gets to the good break point as it gets to the plate. This is one of those types of hitters you want to stay hard and you want to stay in. When you do use the breaking ball, you want to use it for effect so you can go back to the heater on his hand. I mean, most hitters, they are standing right on that back line. You wouldn't even be able to see the back foot right now.
Struck him out swinging to end the inning. But the Nationals tied the game on the base hit by Span. Reds will bat in the bottom of the fifth. We're tied at 2.
Township rode the Fan Express to Great American Ballpark to catch a Reds game. The reservations for the Fan Express, they're going fast, so call this number, 513-765-7600, to secure the Fan Express for your group today. Well, the Reds like to honor their longtime employees and their longtime fans, and today before the game, a very special ceremony on the field. Back in 1968, the Reds hired their first African-American usher at that time, and for those younger in the younger generation, it was a different America back then. Well, that is Mr. Charles Keith, who has been with the Reds for 46 years as an usher. And I got to tell you, when they had that ceremony today, there were tears in his eyes, and it was my pleasure to shake his hand afterwards. There is some serious loyalty in this town for Reds baseball, and it goes back a long ways, and it has passed from generation to generation.
You know, Jim, it's so true. I had a chance as a kid, you know, like a lot of us, you know, you go through your teenage years where you have, you know, a bunch of different jobs. You know, you might cut grass. You might work in a grocery store, whatever it is you might do.
Fried chicken.
Yeah, fried chicken. You know, one of the jobs I had, I think I was about 14 or 15 at the time, and I used to hand out, among many jobs, working down at Riverfront Stadium. But the first call of duty every day was to go down to where the ushers get their uniforms every day. Back in those days, used to give them uniforms every single day. They'd come in and got to know so many of those guys, including Charles. And I tell you, some of the stories and, you know, what they do as their other job, their main job. They often have this job as a second job to earn a few more bucks. Many of them have retired, and they'll come back to work, something to do while the Reds are in town. And, man, they become so much a part of so many others' families here at the ballpark, where season ticket holders are in a section, you know, for dozens and dozens of years, and the same usher or usherette have been there forever. And they go to weddings, and they go to family funerals, and they go to graduations. It's just, it was very enjoyable getting to know so many. I had one of mine who was a school teacher out at Anderson High School for many years, Bob Williams. Have a teacher now out in the area where we live that walks through the stands selling beer, both at the Reds games and the Bengals games when they're playing. Saving extra bucks to try to be able to afford their kids and send them to college and all that kind of thing. And it's great stuff. Congratulations to him and his whole family.
Teachers never get enough credit. Ashley was a teacher for a long time before I met him.
No doubt about it. 1-2 pitch. And Gonzalez here in this inning looks pretty sharp. After his team has tied the game, there's not a lot of fooling around in the bottom of the order for him.
He paints his fastball down and in. That's a money pitch right there.
Hamilton thought it was low. The Colorado Rockies team woke up when they were here in Cincinnati. They pitched very well here, and they've taken that right to Philadelphia. They are beating the Phillies today 5-1 after shutting them down last night. Brandon swung so hard he fell down on one knee. Able to chuckle about it. That slow breaking ball spun up there by Gonzalez. Came back with 93 gas up under his hands to get ahead 0-2.
See that transition in pitches there, Tom. The curveball first. Even though Brandon has a pretty good idea, all right, he's going to really try to rush me here after that slow curve. Your eyes just can't catch up with it. It's too difficult. After you miss a big breaking ball like that, somewhere in the back of your mind, even as much convincing as you try to do to sit on a fastball, somewhere in the back of your mind, you know you're going to get it again, and he does.
Boy, Brandon's got to feel snake bit. A liner to right, and in his third at bat, a line drive to left. 10-5, we're tied at 2. Cup. Alex Morgan leads the outstanding United States women's national team against the very best the world can offer. They're looking for their 3rd World Cup title, are the women. And it starts on Fox and Fox Sports 1, June the 6th. We are a week away, less than a week away. Tomorrow is the final day of May. And here we go in a 2-2 contest, top of the 6th inning. 4, 5, and 6 in the batting order after Iglesias was hurt by the bottom of the order. He had 7, 8, and 9. We were thinking, perhaps he was thinking about a 1-2-3 inning. It was anything but that. A single by the leadoff man, and out later. Gonzalez, trying to give himself up for an out, was hit by a pitch, and then Denard Span tied the game on a single. But good recovery thereafter against Desmond and Escobar without any further damage. That's why we're tied at 2.
Starting to see Iglesias mix up the arm angles. The first pitch to Zimmerman, the sidearm fastball. Then he comes over the top and paints it right on the outside corner at the bottom of the kneecaps. You save those specialty pitches for later in the game.
Oh, doctor, is that nice?
I like that one. A little drop down Laredo right on the outside corner. That is your Cholula hot sauce flamethrower. Smoking.
Eight strikeouts for Raisel Iglesias. Which is a career high. His prior high was 6, and that was in that last start against Cleveland when he threw right around the same number of pitches in 3 innings as where he is right now, 1 out into the 6th. One and 2 on Robinson, who is lined out hard to Marlon Byrd and then single to center in the 4th inning. I got to tell you, I mean, these are the only 3 at-bats we've seen this guy in his life. And I've always said, Cowboy, I've always asked the question, with all of these guys that we see brought to the major leagues, and maybe this at-bat illustrates even more the question I'm asking. I got to dig around a little bit more. Never heard of this guy until he showed up last night. I mean, that is a bouncing ball against a shift through the left side that he just served that way for a base hit. He's hit a rocket to left. He's hit a rocket to center. And he's got huge minor league numbers, but never a chance to play in the big leagues.
Maybe it was a positional issue.
Might have been.
But there are some guys that can just flat out hit. Great bat control. And from what we're seeing here today, that guy has that technique.
I have to talk to Mike Rizzo a little bit about this guy and see him. Obviously he knows something about him, but that's where you rely really on your baseball people and your scouts that maybe see this guy in the kind of year he had at Albuquerque last year. And sometimes the numbers can get skewed by where you're playing. Right. Albuquerque's always been, but that was the first time he's been in Albuquerque. So it's not like he spent 7 years of his minor league career hitting 25 or 30 bombs and batting .350 in that league. 3-1 on Lobaton.
You read out the numbers earlier. I mean, when you're hitting 300 everywhere you go and over that, plus hitting with power, I mean, it's not like he was striking out a ton.
That's where I was going next. I mean, I was scanning down the career, and I'm thinking, all right, well, this must be a guy that is striking out 150, 170 times a year. Nope, not at all.
He's struck out 88 times and 503 at bats in AAA Omaha, and that was the most he's ever struck out.
But then you compare it to the walk number.
And he drove in 100 RBIs that year in a minor league season. That's in 5 months.
Sure. Look at his on-base percentage through those years. 388, 356, 410, 399, 393, 401 last year. 401. Fly ball center field. 2 away in the inning.
Well, you know that Robinson is not gifted with speed, but he's a guy that can handle the bat awfully well. Sometimes the prospects, the guys that you spend a whole bunch of money on in the first round, you give them the first look because they're the guys that you put the dollars into. And when you're a 20-something round pick, you just have to continue to grind it out and continue to play until hopefully somebody notices. Well, the Nationals have noticed.
That ball is hit hard into right field, and there is off the wall. They are going to send Robinson to third. They will hold him there. On a base hit by Espinoza.
That ball was hit so hard off the wall. Even with speed of Espinoza, he had no chance to even try for a double.
Oh boy. 5-2 game. Hanging, breaking ball, and Taylor hit it a mile. And a 2-1 lead is long gone for the Reds. It is 5-2 Nationals.
Ball just spins out of the hands of Iglesias. And even on the previous pitch, you could really see Taylor bailing out to pull the baseball. When you spin one up there like that, it's big trouble in River City.
In this inning, there were 2 outs with a runner at first base, and the 7 and 8 hole hitters coming up. So for a second straight inning, it is the bottom part of the order rather than the top half of the order. It really comes back to take a big chunk out of Raisel Iglesias. Well, we're only in the top of the 6th inning. The Reds have a number of cracks left at them, and they're only down by 3.
You wonder, Tom, at 104 pitches, is the fatigue setting in? It didn't appear that it was.
And he has hit the pitcher for the second time, and I don't know if anybody's getting loose in the bullpen.
Ryan Matthews.
Yeah, but the day is over for Iglesias. It was the hit batsman of Gonzalez, which well could be the biggest at bat of this game, going back to the 5th inning.
That hits Gonzalez in his throwing shoulder. that's not going to bode real well for the Nationals.
We talked about it being a learning curve as Gonzalez continues to.
Well, the Nationals are not happy at all. They are upset. And you can see Todd Frazier saying to the Nationals dugout, not trying to hit him, but they are livid.
Well, now Matt Williams is going to come out and talk to the home plate umpire.
I think he's going to check on his pitcher.
Yeah, I think you're right. This will be our skyline call to the bullpen. The one-time National Ryan Matthews will take over when we return. Inning plus. He had a 2-1 lead going into the bottom half of the 5th inning, and now it's 5-2 Nationals here in the 6th. Ryan Matthews faces a team he once pitched for, the Washington Nationals, and he faces his former center fielder Denard Span. One pitch, and that will be the final out of the inning. So now we'll keep an eye on Gio Gonzalez. He got hit on that left elbow, and he is getting the ball when we return with a 3-run lead. All-Star game on Fox for you and 3 others. Upload 2 photos of yourself at foxsports.com/fantastic all-star. Right now it runs through Wednesday. Our T-Mobile game changer. We brought up earlier that in the season's first month, Joey Votto was batting almost exclusively in the number 2 hole in the lineup. Just got moved back there, Cowboy, a couple of days ago after slumping in a 3 hole. Look at those numbers.
You know, you wonder, does it really have something to do with the mindset of hitting number 2 or the mindset of hitting 3? I don't know if it's that or if it's just circumstance. I think Votto is such a good hitter. I don't know that it matters whether he hits first, second, 8th. He's going to find his hits. But when his swing is right, he's driving the ball out of the ballpark in left center field like we've seen the last 2 nights.
Breaking ball, a strike.
I mean, that ball is down and in from a left-hander, and he hits it out just to the left of the Reds bullpen. And most inside-out hitters, which is what Votto is, they like the ball close to them. They can barrel it up and get some extension to shoot the ball the other way. Hit in the left shoulder as Gonzalez did, maybe down in the tricep area. That can cause a little bit of, actually it can cause rapid fatigue. So you wonder how he's going to respond here. So far he looks all right.
Two and two to Votto. And Gonzalez rocks and delivers. Fastball gets away. And that runs the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Blake Trina, knew we saw in the game here last night, begins to get loose in the Nationals bullpen, and there's a breaking ball that misses badly. So the first batter after getting hit on that left elbow for Gio Gonzalez is a walk to Joey Votto.
And you would think, Tom, that the leash will be rather short for Gonzalez after getting hit for a second time. You've got a 5-2 lead. If you're the Nationals, the last thing you want to do is allow your starter to get himself into trouble and put the team in trouble.
Well, the Reds are down 3. We're only in the bottom of the 6th inning. Here's Frazier. And he looks at a fastball right down the middle of strike. Tied a single to center. And then struck out on a high fastball in the 3rd inning. Second walk of the game for Gio Gonzalez. He has fanned 6. Allowed 2 runs on 5 base hits. It's been more of a struggle today for Gonzalez at times, and in past starts, again, not just past starts, every start he's ever made against the Reds, where he has just completely dominated the Reds. Well, they made him work a little harder here today. That ball driven hard into right center field, and that ball is up against the wall and bounces over the wall. A ground rule double for Todd Frazier.
Boy, now if you're Matt Williams, the wheels are turning. That ball was up in the strike zone, was not running away as the previous pitches did earlier to Frazier. And this may be the last batter that Gonzalez faces in Jay Bruce. Oh, for the long ball.
Bruce has walked and struck out.
would imagine in this at bat he's going to see a boatload of those pitches. That big sweeping hammer.
Well, if it's not this batter, certainly the next batter conceivably could be the last one for Gonzalez. Teams like to have Pena bat right-handed. They would prefer to have him bat right-handed than from the left side, but we'll see. I only bring that up because now you're 2-0. Although lefty-lefty, you're not giving it anything here. Gonzalez has been around the track, and there you just saw him flexing that left elbow a couple of times. It's clearly bothering him. That'll bring in a run. It'll also get an out. On to third goes Frazier. Votto scores to make it 5-3. And Matt Williams still sitting in the dugout. And now he leans back. He's going to leave Gonzalez in there. Well, you need at least 2 in this inning with second and third and nobody out. All it takes is 2 ground balls to the second baseman and you're within a run. You'd like a lot more than that.
Yeah, because the Nationals are playing back.
Yep.
They're going to allow you to have the run if you can make contact.
One of the biggest at bats in this game was Pena in the very first inning. Reds had the bases loaded with only 1 out, and Pena lined into an inning ending double play.
This is not necessarily a spot where you have to have a base hit, but you don't want a pop up or a strikeout. You want a ground ball somewhere in the infield that will get Frazier home.
Pretty nice block right there by Lobaton. That ball nowhere near the strike zone.
As a left-hander, really righty or lefty, when you're throwing a slider down and in to the opposite batter at the plate, righty to a lefty, lefty to a righty, you're trying to get that ball to break right at the back foot of the hitter.
For Pena, the Reds are very important at bat right here. You're down 2, runner at third, 1 out. And this will get the job done. Sinking liner will fall. A base hit by Pena, plating Frazier, and it's a 1-run game. And you got to believe that's all for Gonzalez. Yep. Here comes Matt Williams.
Came back with the breaking ball. Pena stayed on it just enough. He caught it off the end of the bat, and that's what allowed the ball to die in front of Michael Taylor, the left fielder for the Nationals. If you hit that ball on the screws, it's probably a fly ball to left.
5 1/3 innings, 7 hits. So a breakthrough for the Reds today against Gio Gonzalez. By far the best they have fared against him in a handful of meetings.
Yeah, the Reds have never had more than 2 earned runs against Gonzalez.
Breaking the action. Go ahead run coming to the plate. The Reds down a run here in the 6th.
of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Reds have scored a pair to chase Gio Gonzalez here in the 6th inning. Washington in front by a run. Blake Treinen, the new pitcher for the Nationals, on to face Marlon Byrd. Pena first, only one out. It's a good pitch right there. Byrd looking dead red out of the bullpen.
This kid came from Double-A to the big leagues last year, threw the ball awfully well, and he's done the same so far here this year.
Byrd is struck out and singled into center field, 1 of 2.
I imagine he may see that pitch again.
And again. Which he did. Gets away from the catcher. Pena took a big turn out there at second base.
Well, that was a major cross-up between Treinen and Lobaton. They're going to give Lobaton a pass ball, but I'm not sure that Treinen threw the pitch that Lobaton was expecting.
And I think that hit Lobaton in the bare hand.
Looked like it caught him on one of the fingers. You can see him holding it behind his back at the moment.
Well, now you have a chance with a base hit to tie this game up. After the Nationals broke a 2-2 tie in the top of the inning with 3 runs on a 3-run home run by Taylor. 1 and 2 on Marlon Byrd. Pena out at second base, 1 out. He just went to that pitch over and over and over again, as you suspected he would, and got the result he was looking for.
Well, when you get a swing like this early, you're going to go back to that pitch again and again until the guy proves that he can hit it or lay off of it. And Byrd could do neither.
Like Cozart had a big 2-out hit in the game last night. Man, oh man, oh man.
Well, if the Reds get one more of those, we're tied. Second wild pitch in the inning as he spikes that breaking ball right on top of home plate. Actually, that was a fastball. Boy, when you're throwing a fastball that bounces, you are overthrowing big time.
Well, why not one more? Take it any way you can get it, right?
That's right.
One and 0 on Zach Cozart. 2 low, 2 balls and no strikes. Skip Schumacher is standing in the on-deck circle. That is a pitcher spot. Due up next, Ryan Matthews, who came on to get the final out in the 6th inning. Through a fastball at 99 miles per hour.
With sink. Yeah, we saw Barrett come in the ball game last night throwing just absolute gas with a snapdragon breaking ball, and Treinen doing the same thing here.
Oh boy. 98.
And this is not 98 straight. Watch what this ball does as it gets to the plate. It starts in the middle and it ends up almost behind the back leg of Cozart.
Timeout call to the plate. 2-2 on Zach Cozart with a tying run 90 feet away here in the last of the 6th inning. Barely able to get a piece of it, but a piece nonetheless for Zach.
Well, you know you have a special talent when you've got a guy that can throw the ball as hard as Training is here, and the ball's going straight down. 98 with that kind of sink.
Hitting over, but the Reds get a pair. It's a 1-run Washington National lead at the end of 6.
Bringing the energy. Let's check around Major League Baseball. How about Derek Norris's act? First player in Major League Baseball history to strike out 4 times in a game and then turn around and hit a walk-off grand slam. Josh Hamilton makes his return, and he's done fairly well. 2 for 3, 2 solo home runs, 3 runs scored versus Boston. And how about those San Francisco Giants? Off to a slow start to the season. The defending world champs have turned it around, as we found out firsthand here in Cincinnati. 8 shutouts at home in May. That's the most by any National League team in a month. Tom and Cowboy, you got to go back to 1916, the last time that happened.
Well, we saw a glimpse of what the Giants are capable of doing, both on the mound and especially at the plate, after they scored 30 runs over 3 days after dropping the first of 4 against the Reds, and man, did they take it to them thereafter.
A few of those shutouts were against the Dodgers.
Yeah, in the whole series they shut them out. In fact, getting shut out on the road is becoming quite an issue for the Dodgers. They have not scored a run on the road spanning their last 37 innings. That's not good.
That's being nice.
Well, Cowboy, are we always being nice?
We try.
Two and two on Ian Desmond. And a ground ball. Cozart gets over in front of it and makes a perfect throw. 1 away in the inning. But I mean to stretch a little bit to the right field side of the bag, but plenty of time. Stick around today and every day after Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. We'll bring you Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. That'll be coming up after this one today. And Obviously, Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro and company would love to be talking about a series win and looking ahead perhaps to a series sweep. But right now the Reds are down by a run. We're in the 7th inning. And here's Yunel Escobar. A double, a run scored, a single, and a strikeout. Fooled on the slider, down and away, strike one. What have been your impression so far, Cowboy, of one Ryan Matthews just brought in a couple of weeks ago?
I like his aggressiveness. I mean, when you come out of the bullpen throwing bullseyes, I think that's a requirement. Walking guys out of the bullpen or late in the game, you just can't do that. Now, granted, you're going to have some days as a bullpen guy where you're pitching 2 or 3 days in a row where things aren't quite meshing, or you're going to have 4 or 5 days off. They don't quite get to where you want it to be. But if you're consistently walking guys out of your bullpen, you are going to get hammered.
I don't know if you feel this way, Cowboy. The more and more the years go by, when you watch games, late in games, when you get to 3 balls in a count in your bullpen, chances are some bad things are going to happen.
I would tend to agree.
There's strike 3 called. Escobar not agreeing at all.
Unhappy. Escobar is still unhappy about the first pitch, and he's out of the ball game.
It didn't take long for Andy Fletcher to say see you later, and Matt Williams might join him.
Looked like a split finger from Matthews, down and away. And all Matt is trying to do right now is protect his player. And if that means getting thrown out of the ball game, well, so be it. We saw it with Bryce Harper the other day. Matt got tossed.
All right.
Looked like a split finger. Hey, Fox Track says it's a strike.
Escobar thinking that pitch was down. And of course, it's not where the catcher catches a ball, it's where the ball crosses the plate.
The front part of the plate.
Well, Escobar gone. And Zimmerman bangs one into center field, a 2-out single. Well, they have Tyler Moore. Dan Uggla they can use in the infield. They have Wilmer Defoe they can use in the infield. So we'll see what kind of changes they will make. I would imagine. But we'll see. Now Clint Robinson.
Well, he's hit the ball hard every time, has he not? Wow.
Inning over. Nice job by Matthews. Pinch hitter Hamilton Phillips coming up. Reds down a run. Offer you a great value this season. We call it the Kroger meal deal for $9. Now check concession stands when you're at the ballpark. Kroger meal deal. Get a hot dog, a bag of Lay's chips, a 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, a Quaker Big Chewy, all for $9. It's a great deal. And there are many of them in and around Great American Ballpark. Tickets especially so. Well, as soon as, well, we take a look first at the changes. And there are more forthcoming. Dan Uggla takes over at second, shoving Espinosa over to third after the ejection to Escobar. And as soon as Brennan Bosch is announced as a Reds pinch hitter, Matt Williams comes to get training. They have big Matt Thornton in their bullpen. I'd imagine that's who's coming on. And yep, he comes trotting out of the bullpen. We'll see if the Reds counter that move. Reds come to bat here in the bottom of the 7th inning. The pitching change is made. And hard-throwing left-hander Matt Thornton will take over for the Nationals. Brennan Bosch will stay on as the announced pinch hitter.
Well, you've got to believe that Bosch has seen Thornton before. I mean, Thornton was with the White Sox. Bosch was with the Detroit Tigers.
Yep. For a number of years. Pretty good swing right there, but fouls it back out of play. And Thornton ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes. You have a switch hitting Billy Hamilton next and right-handed batting Brandon Phillips before you get to another left-handed batter in Votto. Sky's beginning to darken a little bit here. Hoping that'll pass through quickly. On swinging Bosch. Billy Hamilton is in the driver's seat, brought to you by Kia. How's he done since being moved to the 9 spot 6 games ago? Nothing wrong with those numbers. He's 1 of 2 today, a single, a stolen base, a run scored.
Well, ultimately, the key with Billy Hamilton, Tom, is going to be what happens when the Reds move him back to the top of the order. Sooner or later, that is the ultimate goal. You have to have the same approach, the same time, same type of relaxed atmosphere at the plate.
Well, that's obviously the last thing in the world the Reds want from Hamilton is putting the ball in the air. And that is 1 pitch and an out. Thornton has thrown 5 pitches to retire the first 2 here in the inning. Boy, if you really notice, and again it gets back to the scouting, when Billy Hamilton came to the plate that time, Ryan Zimmerman had barely come in a step from where a first baseman would normally play.
Well, I think the reason being is that Hamilton does not bunt to the right side. If he does bunt, it's to the left side, and more times than not, it's left-handed. And I keep bringing up the name Norris Hopper, and granted that's been years ago, but he made a living bunting the ball hard at the second baseman and beating it out, and he had no chance to have the speed Billy Hamilton does.
I talked to Brian Price one day for a long time when we were in Kansas City about bunting. Not about Hamilton in particular, but just about bunting in general. And it rolled into, you know, the Drew Stubbs conversation from many years ago, and how, you know, he would swing so wildly and struck out a lot and never utilized seemingly the speed he was blessed with, and the inability to bunt. Circled back around towards Hamilton, and then about the way major league teams monitor their players during the offseason. He talked about he'd never been around an organization more than the Reds in the way they monitor their players, you know, from a strength and conditioning standpoint. They travel around to see the various players. But I guess we never really connected until the end of where I was ultimately going, and that was with Billy Hamilton and all the things we read about of him working out with Delino DeShields, who's now the AAA manager in Louisville, and about all the bunting work that, you know, they allegedly did, and all this kind of thing, and obviously we weren't there, and how for whatever reason we have not seen that from Billy Hamilton virtually at all this entire year. Here's a high pop-up. And just to finish the thought, Brian Price thought simulating bunting was one of the hardest things to do in a batting cage compared to a real game situation. For the second consecutive day, homer to left center field. That gave the Reds a 1-run lead. That lasted until the 5th inning, with Denard Span lining one into left center field, plating Espinosa, tying the game at 2. But then Taylor with 2 outs and 2 on in the 6th inning. Michael Taylor, a long home run to left. Reds would get 2 runs back in the bottom of the 6th inning on a ground out by Bruce and a Single to left center by Brian Pena. And you are up to speed. 5 runs, 10 hits, 6 left on base for the Nationals. The Reds have 4 runs, 7 hits, and 8 left 3.
Well, Ryan Matthews did a great job coming out of the bullpen, holding the fort. The Reds were able to scratch back a couple of runs in the 6th. Now they'll ask that of J.J. Hoover. Try to keep the ball game right where it is. That way, one swing of the bat can tie this ball game. A bloop and a blast can put you on top.
First pitch breaking ball is high. 6, 7, 8. Boy, that bottom part of the order, that proved to be a tough road to hoe for Raisel Iglesias. Took care of Lobaton okay. But Espinosa 2 hits. Taylor the 3-run home run. He hit the pitcher twice, which led to another run when you rolled back over the top of the order. Cozart to the glove side. 1 out. Of course, J.J. got a huge out in the game last night. Walked into the toughest situation you can, with the bases loaded in the 8th inning, to face a good RBI man in Ian Desmond, and he just blew him away, struck him out.
You know, the thing that surprised me with the home run by Michael Taylor, you got a fastball the last time up that he took, and he knew he was going back to the dugout as the ball came to the plate. Granted, he did strike him out on a slider away his first time up.
Espinosa, the 2 hits, a 2-run scored today in 3 trips. Reds are down a run. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Man, that wind is howling. It's got to be blowing 30, 35 miles per hour. You look at the flags up there, being stretched by this stiff breeze. That him played perfectly. Sharp ground ball, but Cozart waits on it. 2 away. The Reds in the bottom of the 8th will have Votto, Frazier, and Bruce.
I think that's all you can ask for in a 1-run ball game, is to have your big boys batting late in the game with at least a chance to bring you back, whether it be tie or go ahead. And the 8th would be the inning that the Reds will need to make some hay.
0-1 the count on Taylor, who had the big 3-run home run to break the 2-2 tie in the 6th inning. Taylor's a youngin'. He just turned 24 a couple of months ago. Oh, that's a wicked breaking ball by J.J. to even the count, or get ahead in the count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Watch Taylor's front foot really rolling over, looking to pull the baseball, especially after that home run off Iglesias. It's tough to hit a breaking ball when you're bailing out that far.
Two and 2. And now J.J. Time called first by Taylor. Three in a row to Cozart. 3 in a row, he throws him out. That's a nice play by Cozart. Really nice play. All right, here we go. Votto, Frazier, Bruce. Reds are hoping for more. Down a run. Game here on Fox Sports Ohio with the Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Will come your way tomorrow at 12:30. We invite you to join us. Dependable veteran, 8 major league seasons, has appeared in at least 50 games over each of the last 5 years. He's been the closer with Toronto for the last 3 years and now takes over on the mound. It's right-hander Casey Janssen. Janssen, the last 3 seasons since becoming the Blue Jays closer, 22, 34, 25 saves. So last year they started to hit the ball for the first time. A lot more hits than innings pitched. He just came off the disabled list a little more than a week ago after pitching in 6 rehab games.
He doesn't walk anybody. He is a control pitcher. He's going to move the ball in and out.
Two and one to the Toronto native. Joey Votto broke his back on a ground ball to short. 1 out.
Every pitch to Votto there was a cutting type of pitch. 86 miles an hour, not really slider depth, but just enough to cut the ball in on the hands of Votto.
Todd Frazier is 2 of 3, single to center in the first, struck out in the third, doubled to right center field, and scored in the 6th inning.
Yeah, you look at Jansen as he sets up with a split finger in his glove. That's the hardest grip to get. So he puts that in his glove to begin with.
One ball and 1 strike to Frazier, leads a team with 15 home runs. Reds are one big crack of the bat away from tying this game. They're down a run, but they're beginning to run out of outs. Fooled badly on that pitch. Started to swing, tried to stop it, and the bat made contact with the ball.
You're looking fastball in Frazier's mind. You get the fastball, you start to swing, and it's not in the spot that you want it to be.
High drive. Did Frazier tie the game? Span at the wall. Goodbye. Or are they saying no? They're saying it did not fly over the wall. Frazier's saying it is.
Well, I'm challenging that.
Well, you don't even have to challenge that. On home run balls, you know, that was the very first rule in instant replay, was fair, foul, home run, or no home run. And they will take a look at this. I didn't think you had to challenge this thing.
Well, he hit that one right on the money. I thought that ball was over the line.
Oh, no, that hit his glove.
Hit his glove.
It is not a home run.
It was over the line, but it was in and out of the glove of Denard Span. Boy, he got up big time. And that may have saved the Washington Nationals big time.
That's a big time play, boy. Even though he didn't catch it.
I mean, look how high he's up. Catches the glove, and then it just flips back in.
All right. Tying run at second base. Here's Jay Bruce. Well, I tell you what, if the umpire was able to tell that from second base,
that's a tremendous job.
That's a great call. To see that far.
Well, not only that, but the hustle to get out there to get the vision of the ball as it goes over the fence.
All right, 1-0 to Jay Bruce. Well, we just said about Frazier, they were one mighty crack of the bat away from tying the game. Now they're one mighty crack of the bat away from leading by a run.
Well, normally in the dugout you say bloop and a blast, we take the lead. Well, how about a blast and a blast?
Be all right? One ball and one strike on Jay Bruce. Fastball up and in.
He's pitching Bruce almost in the exact way that he pitched Votto, cutting that ball in on the hands of Jay.
I mean, this can't be that complicated. I mean, they had all three guys that were joining in on that conversation. And the umpire finally walked out and said, come on now. All right, now we're back at it. 2 balls and a strike to Jay Bruce. Frazier keeps drifting and drifting and drifting. He's done that the first couple of pitches in this at bat.
Ultimately, that meeting was about, they thought Frazier was giving signs at second base. Lobaton did not even put down a sign this or the last. When you get a catcher that goes back there and just pops his mitt, throws it up with a guy in second. Trying to change all kind of pitches here, and now they're going to have to call timeout. They're giving a series of 4 signs, finger signs, numbers, and touches as well. Trying to confuse Frazier, and Frazier may not be doing anything at all.
Three-one delivery. And there's ball 4. Tying run is in scoring position at second base. A go-ahead run. Jay Bruce at first, and here comes Brian Pena. And now another meeting on the mound. I tell you, brains are spilling all over the field right now. I mean, Cowboy, come on. You've been out here. Is it this tough?
No, it's not. But you've got a guy that has only made 3 appearances for the Nationals.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's worked with Lobaton before at the end of the ball game. I think they're just trying not to make a mistake, because a mistake right now brings Chapman in the ball game, and it'll cost you.
Yeah. All right, Brian Pena with 2 on and 1 out. Pena trying to hit one off that All-Star game sign with that first cut. Boy, look at those numbers for Brian Pena. Close and late. That's when a game is within 2 or 3 runs.
It's called high leverage.
Let's see if he can deliver right here. He's quickly behind, 0-2. It's the first time in this game that Pena has hit from the left side. He lined into a double play with the bases loaded, ending the first inning. Fly to left in the 4th, and had that run-scoring single to bring the Reds within a run. Our current score at 5-4 with a base hit in the 6th inning. Pull to the right side off the glove, and nobody covering first base.
Boy, that is a brain cramp in the worst way for Casey Janssen. Anything hit to the right side as a pitcher, you should be breaking towards the bag. You cannot assume that the ball will be caught or the play will be made. You've got to be there.
You notice the way Bruce stood there momentarily as if to shield Zimmerman from ever seeing that ball. Obviously, you can't get hit by it. That's like a Cardinals sin. All right, here we go. They are loaded for Marlon Byrd. And this crowd of nearly 37,000 rises as one. Tying run at third, go ahead run at second, we're in the eighth.
Whether you're the pitcher or the man standing with the bat at the plate, you do everything in your mind to slow the game down a bit.
Oh boy, hit the ball hard, but a line drive at the second baseman for that critical second out of the inning. And now it's up to Cozart.
Right on the screws. As you mentioned, we saw it early. Off the bat of Brian Pena, turned into a double play. But this time, Bruce freezing on the line drive.
2 outs, bases loaded, Reds down a run. Here's Zach Cozart.
Boy, this is the spot when you're a little kid. You're sitting out in your driveway. All right, bases loaded. I'm down a run. Zach Cozart at the plate.
Oh, yeah.
They're having another church meeting on the mound.
Nothing and one on Cozart. Slow breaking ball pulled foul to get ahead 0-2. And now Jansen has Cozart around the neck. See if Cozart can find a way to get that tying run in. He has a go-ahead run at second. 2 outs. High fly ball straight away center field, span at the wall. It's up against the wall. The Reds have the lead. 1 run in, 2 runs in. Reds lead by a run. Cozart delivers the goods.
Well, there was no bringing this one back. This ball was hit so hard. We saw the back of Denard Span's jersey, but he had no chance to get to this baseball. And we're talking about a 2-strike swing from Cozart. Outstanding at bat.
Well, they're going to intentionally walk the announced pinch hitter Skip Schumacher. Batting for the pitcher Hoover, who did an excellent job, a perfect 8th inning. Cozart for a second straight night gets a huge 2-out hit. He capped off the 3-run 6th inning with a 2-out run scoring single to plate Hamilton. That was last night. And tonight, with 2 outs and a bases loaded on a 1-2 pitch, hammers one off the wall in center field to drive in a pair. That was after Frazier had the home run taken away by Span.
These last 2 ball games for the hitters at the plate, the most determination I've seen in the eyes of every hitter coming to the plate all year long. Now you've got to sustain that.
Loaded with 2 away for Billy Hamilton. Pulled down the line and foul. Oh, mercy. Could you imagine on Billy Hamilton bobblehead day? Crowd was already chanting his name. If that bad boy would have stayed fair.
I think they'd rather it hit the wall so we'd watch him run than hit it over the fence.
Billy dumps one into right center field. 2 more will score. And the Reds poured it on in the 8th.
It's getting loud up in here. Looked like a split-fingered fastball that stayed high and up and out over the plate. Hamilton waited just long enough to get some part of the barrel to the baseball.
Well, they're going to have another meeting on the mound.
Let me ask you this. How amazing is it that Zach Cozart, and you mentioned this earlier, Zach Cozart, big hit last night, followed by a big hit, or Hamilton, big hit, then followed by Cozart, a big hit last night to win the ball game. And lo and behold, here we go again.
Same 2 guys.
I like it.
Like it a lot. A 4-run 8th inning and still batting, and all 4 knocked in after 2 are out. Those are the hits that have been eluding the Reds seemingly on a nightly basis all year long. And here in the last 2 nights anyway, they've been able to find those hits. Hamilton running, and Phillips fouls it out of play. Brandon, the 9th man to bat in the inning. Reds were down 5-2, remember, after the Nationals broke the 2-2 tie with a 3-run top of the 6th.
These are the types of ball games that you love to come and watch, because it feels like the Reds are taking the game to the Nationals, not waiting for the game to come to them. And I mean, let's face it, Tom, earlier in the season, you're down 5-2. You could kiss the baby if you were the Reds. You weren't coming back.
Nothing in 2 on Brandon. Pitch. Brandon still hanging around. Well, it's been a great crowd here today. Enthusiastic crowd. And as you mentioned, Cowboy, really for a fan, this is a very entertaining and exciting ball game. Right when you fell behind 5-2 to get those 2 runs back right away in the bottom of the 6th inning, and you're right back there within a run again. Keeping an eye on Hamilton.
You can talk all you want about staying on an even keel, play the ball, play the game the way it's supposed to be played, act like you've been there before. Sports, baseball, football, whatever it may be, it is a game of emotion. You have to have it to survive. That's the reason that your heart beats so fast in crucial situations. Don't try to push it away. Embrace it.
Boy, Jansen taking forever out on the mound. It has been an ugly 8th inning for him, much to the delight of 37,000 here at Great American Ballpark. Nothing and 2 on Brandon. Billy running. Ground ball, back of third. Long throw for Escobar. Inning over. The Reds send 9 to the plate. They score 4. All coming with 2 outs. It started with Cozart to give him a 1-run lead with a 2-run double. Hamilton with the bases loaded. A 2-run single. And now the Reds will hand it to the main man. Aroldis Chapman, who will come on from the bullpen to try and close her out.
Part of Family Sundays, kids 14 and younger receive a team baseball card set presented by Cons. Plus, make sure you take advantage of special family ticket offers. Tickets? For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/family.
All right, Cowboy, here we go. Aroldis Chapman now came on to close it out last night. He allowed a single to Bryce Harper, but picked up save number 8 in 8 chances on the year.
I think this is when Chapman is at his best. The adrenaline is flying. Save situation. Looks like he'll face Tyler Moore to begin with.
So Moore, the pinch hitter, looks at a fastball and even 100 miles per hour. He is batting is Moore for the pitcher. Jansen, who goes 1 inning, allows 4 hits, walks 2, 1 intentionally, 4 earned runs.
That's a Mississippi State boy.
There you go. You thought that was his car down in the parking lot today. There's a swing and a foul ball back out of play. A 3-run deficit would be the largest deficit the Reds have overcome to win a game this season. To back up what Cowboy was talking about earlier. One ball and one strike on board. You know, not only is Aroldis Chapman on an extraordinary roll, dating back to the 28th of June last year was the last time he blew a save. He saved 28 in a row since. That was the last time he allowed a single run in a save situation. This one into left field over near the line, and there's Marlon Bird. I mean, think about that for a minute. And not just Chapman, but any closer. The game's very best closers. You pick whichever one you want. To think that in a save situation, Aroldis Chapman has not allowed a single run going back to June of last year.
There is something that clicks in that young left-hander. When the game is on the line, it seems as though he eats pressure for breakfast. The chest is out. The concentration is at a perfect maximum.
It's falling behind 2-0 on Denard Span. It's a 3-run lead for the Reds here in the top of the 9th inning with 1 out. Kluber is the pitcher of record for the Reds after working a perfect 8th inning. That's called ball 3. This man taking all the way. He might take again 3-1. A lot of times you get 3-1, nobody in the game is going to take a pitch, but Span's been around a while. He knows they're 3 down, and getting 3 hits off Chapman. I'm not sure the last time that happened. There's strike 2. He started to swing, but didn't let her rip. 3-2. Ball 4. Chapman a long look in at the home plate umpire Andy Fletcher. He's heard it from both sides today.
Just a bit off. Had a pitch out there earlier in the at-bat that he just pulled off the outside corner.
Tell you, to Andy Fletcher's credit, every time we put up Fox tracks,
he's right on the money.
He's been right on the button all day long.
And those are some close pitches.
And Desmond down a strike. One out, one on, top of the 9th inning here at Great American Ballpark. The Reds in the ideal situation, as we mentioned earlier. Hit it big in the bottom of the 8th. Knowing that the 3 outs you're leaning on. You're leaning on Aroldis Chapman. That one stays high. 1 ball and 1 strike, and Span will take second base in difference. Well, you're going to make these guys earn it from here on in, because you're getting into the thunder of this Washington Nationals lineup. Although, remember, Escobar was thrown out of the game, and Uggla is batting in his spot next. There's a fastball, strike 2-2. Everything in this inning, by and large, has been up for Chapman with that fastball. And a slider, for that matter.
Slow the game down. Slow your body down.
Big pitch right here, 3-2 on Ian Desmond. And now, all of a sudden, the tying run comes to the plate. On back-to-back walks, with one out in the 9th inning.
This is one of those games they need to deliver some Tums to each dugout for the managers. And I'm not talking about one or two. Bring them a bottle.
Whole handful. These two managers know each other so well from their time in Arizona with the Diamondbacks. 2-1 for Dan Uggla. We talked about it last night. Uggla, the former Atlanta Brave, still being piled a king's ransom by the Braves over the next number of years after they released him in the middle of a long-term contract. And it was a game in Atlanta earlier towards the end of April when the Nationals were really slumping. They were 7-13 on the year. They were down 9-1 in a game. They were down 10-2 in the same game. Uggla tied the game with a triple. He won the game with a home run. And since then, the Nationals have been the best team in baseball. 0-2 to count. 102 miles per hour. So whatever Brian Pena said to Chapman, after walking back-to-back hitters, 3 straight strikes to put away Uggla.
I don't think he said it quite like this, but I think he said, let's throw it in there and test him out.
All right, power against power here. Chapman v. Zimmerman. Boy, he had a good cut on that first pitch. And it's strike 1. Of course, last night Harper was the lone base runner against Chapman when he singled into center field. A scratch from a lineup today with a stiff back. Oh, and 2. It was a 91-mile-per-hour changeup, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is correct. 10 miles an hour off the fastball that comes in at Highway 101. It's reaction time. When you've got a good hitter up there, he's going to cheat for that fastball. And even though it's 91, which is where most people's fastball is, it's all about the eyes.
One more strike, one more out to go for Chapman and the Reds.
Tried to throw that one 1,000.
And there nearly took Pena's arm with it. 2 on, 2 out, 3-run lead, 1-2 pitch. Oh, zero. what a win for the Redlegs here today. Trailed 5-2 after 5.5. Came within a run at the end of 6. Bases loaded, 2 outs in the 8th. Cozart a 2-strike, 2-run double. Hamilton a 2-run single on Billy Hamilton bobblehead day. And Chapman made it interesting but slams the door in the 9th. 8-5 our final. We'll be back in a moment.